Hi, everyone. I'm Mansi, and I lead product management for the Quest store. Before we get started today, I want to learn a little bit more about who's in the room. Can you raise your hand if you're new to developing on the Quest platform? All right. Welcome. We're excited to have you guys. How many of you have been on the platform for about a year? Nice. And how many of you have been on the platform for longer than 2 to 3 years? Okay, we have some vets in the room too. Awesome. Well, we're really happy to have all of you. And as you can see, we have we have people representing across the spectrum in terms of their length on the platform. Before I jump in, I want to acknowledge how important this topic is to you. I realize discovery is the first step to succeeding on our platform. If users can't find your content, they can't download it, they can't engage with it, they can't make purchases. So we get it. The stakes are high. So let's dive in. Today, I'm going to break down how discovery works on our platform. We've researched meta audiences and meta quest audiences and how they discover content on our platform. I want to acknowledge that audiences, I'm going to talk a little bit about how content discovery works today for VR platforms. Then I'm going to talk about what that means for you. And then I'll share some updates on recent changes we've made and that we're looking to make some work in progress. All right. Now let's dive in. We've talked to different Meta Quest audiences to understand how they develop content on the VR platform. And we've learned that we know that discovery happens both on and off platform. I want to acknowledge that off platform is a very critical component to discovery. And people often explore content off platform. They're browsing social media. They look at VR press and games, at VR press and social media to make decisions about what they purchase. Today, we're really going to focus on platform and talk about our discovery journey here. But I just want to acknowledge that off platform is very important, even though we won't focus there as much today. All right, so our on-platform equation boils down to two major vehicles: the Quest Store and search. Users interact with these surfaces across three different surfaces. First is VR, when they don their headset. The second is in our mobile app. And the third is on web at meta.com. As audiences interact with these different vehicles and surfaces, their needs change, and therefore their behaviors on each of these surfaces also change. So starting with cold boot, this is when users don the headset. The experience users see is really the default landing vehicle in the device. We're experimenting with a few different surfaces and experiences with what cold boot should look like. Our aim is to give users a pulse on what's happening in VR right now. Keep in mind, though, typically what we show here is more for lower intent audiences. These are users who are looking to explore what's available, and they don't necessarily always know what they want to do. So really think of this as a top-of-funnel vehicle, and it's not necessarily going to drive strong conversion for you, but it will help increase the awareness of your title. Next, I'm going to talk about search. Search is accessible across all platforms on all three surfaces, and it supports high intent, medium intent, and low intent users. High intent audiences are often looking for something very specific, and they know exactly what they want when they come to search. Medium intent audiences may know a genre of what they're looking for, like they're looking for sports games, and low intent audiences often are looking to us to tell them and provide them with recommendations on what to look for. So really, search is our most dynamic vehicle that supports all levels of user intent. Store is the primary vehicle for commerce. This is where users find, download, and make purchases. Unlike the surface on cold boot, to get to store, it requires one extra click. So usually audiences are more primed, and therefore they have higher intent. So store is really an important vehicle to drive conversion. Placements in store home drive audiences into your funnel, get them to your product detail page for deeper purchase consideration, and then ultimately help you drive that conversion. Across all three of these vehicles, content is populated using both automated and manual methods. I'm going to start by talking about our automated methods. To do that, it's important to understand how our ranking systems work. Ranking models are programmed across all of these vehicles slightly differently and prioritize a variety of signals. But the most important two are relevance, how relevant is this content to the user, and engagement. How likely is this content to positively engage the user? Okay, so what does this all really mean? I'm going to start with talking about relevance. To do that, it's really important to consider the surface the user is on and what we know about their intent. So for example, if a user is in search, they're more likely going to want to see a close match with the term that they searched. So we're going to show them, ideally, we want to show them content that aligns with that query, not just push top performing content on the platform. We also try to consider the user's past behavior if they've given us consent to do so, like what queries have they searched for historically, what content have they downloaded, and where have they spent their time when they're in the headset or on our mobile app. Now let's talk about engagement and driving that positive engagement between a user and a piece of content. The likelihood that a particular piece of content will engage an audience is really important because it helps us ensure that audiences see the content that's most likely to give them a positive experience. If they're repeatedly having good experiences on our platform, they're more likely to re-engage, which grows our total addressable market for you, our builders and developers. To do this, we measure a variety of factors, and we look at time spent in a single session, but also in repeated sessions as users come back. Our goal is to balance these metrics, and so we try to do this in a way that really helps us measure engagement regardless of what type of app you have, so we can make sure that how we rank and drive engagement works across the spectrum of content that we offer users. So whether you have a game that is a longer duration, or it's a fixed campaign, or it's replayable in nature, we account for how engagement differs across these and leverage the signals in different ways. Now I'm going to talk about our manual methods. And we employ these manual methods across different surfaces and vehicles. They show up in spotlight carousels, custom shelves and collections, and manually developed store pages. Our team hand selects this content based on 4 key criteria. The first is the general quality of the content and the star rating. So how are users rating your content? The second is community engagement and press coverage. The third piece is audience engagement. So how deeply are users engaging with your content and in what ways? And the fourth is the uniqueness and novelty of your content. So let's talk about what this all means for you. So to optimize your distribution, the best way to do so is to make sure you're featured, whether to get featured in manual programming or getting upranked in store and other discovery surfaces, is to signal your ability to be a top performer in terms of quality and engagement. So to do this, really focus on retention and app stickiness. So if you're not quite ready for prime time, we encourage you to use early access to get feedback from users. Use that feedback to iterate and polish your app, and then launch once you're truly ready. We also encourage you to consider frequent app updates and leverage our engagement tools to drive higher engagement and retention. The second piece is to invest in a multi-channel marketing campaign. Like we mentioned earlier, platform discovery should not be the only method that you rely on. Off-platform is critical. So you should really think about how you can generate buzz in social media or on press. For example, maybe you want to build a healthy Discord community. Build up hype there. Channel that hype by linking your PDP and then drive downloads and conversions on platform. So really you want to think about that end-to-end journey. We also would encourage you to check out app ads for Facebook and Instagram. We place the ads on Facebook and Instagram and target MetaQuest users specifically. We've seen strong return on ad spend, so definitely worth checking out as one of the tools that we offer. Third, keep those marketing assets fresh. Regularly go refresh your art, your cover art, your trailers, your metadata. The idea here is we want to reduce the fatigue of users seeing the same thing over and over again. And we want to increase the odds that they will click on your content and convert from your product detail page. So you should make sure to refresh your assets with every major app update or when you're running a sale promotion. This often helps draw users in. And the fourth thing is to really make sure you're consistently evaluating your pricing strategy. Adjusting price can improve your demand. That then helps re-engage users and convert more of them, which feeds back into your distribution loop and helps grow your distribution on platform. So definitely participate in sale events, run your own deals, and we'll talk about that a bit more. And make sure you're monitoring your price. We have price A/B testing, so you can really understand at what different price points do you inflect demand. And you can also localize your price. Both of these are available in our developer dashboard. Those are the biggest areas that you can impact discoverability on our platform. But I also want to recommend, if you click on this QR code, you can check out the Growth Insight series on the Developer Center blog, and you'll see more recommendations and best practices on how to grow your business. I definitely want to emphasize this system is designed to expand potential for success for a variety of business models in VR. You should be able to find success if you're an app in a single campaign, not necessarily designed for a re-engagement, but also find that success if your app is free or if your app is a subscription-based app. We really are dedicated to ensuring our system supports everyone, and we can ultimately fuel growth as a whole, not just for a few. With that, I'm going to shift gears into talking about recent changes and work in progress. I want to share some updates on features we've shipped. But before I do that, I'm going to share the principles that have been driving how and where we focused. First, one of our goals is to get users to stay for longer on our discovery surfaces so they're exposed to more impressions and see more content. We're also trying to reduce information overload when a user is on one of our discovery surfaces so that we eliminate content blindness that often happens when users have limited visual diversity. Really, the goal here is making every impression count. The second focus area we've had is broadening the number of places where your app may be promoted. It's really important to broaden the top of funnel to help ensure you're getting the number of impressions that you need to find your retentive audience. And last, we've been focusing on relevance. The idea here is to continually improve our content programming to ensure users are finding the content that's most relevant for them. This increases the chances that they find a sticky and exciting and engaging app. Before we dive into all the updates, I want to start with a big change we're making. We actually just made this change this week. Worlds are no longer going to appear in the store. That means users will no longer see worlds when they come to the Quest Store home. It won't be appearing in category or genre shelves or editorial surfaces. This essentially means less competition for discovery, and more of our users' impressions will be routed to VR apps and your content. We're also removing Horizon Feed. Horizon Feed has historically been a top-of-funnel vehicle to drive awareness, but it was largely focused on worlds. Given that, we're moving away from that surface, and we're exploring different ways to drive new top-of-funnel visibility that will anchor on VR apps. Now jumping into the Quest Store, some of you guys may have seen, over the last several months, it's had a facelift. We've rolled out visual improvements to help break up some of that visual monotony and to help better drive engagement. Our goal is to help differentiate pieces of content so that they stand out from one another and make each impression really go further. To do that, some of the features we've launched are we've reimagined the Spotlight carousel on VR. We've done that by really making it the full width of the store and really feel more immersive, with the idea to improve engagement with that unit and the content that's being promoted. We've also added additional promotional units and real estate in store home that appear as the user is scrolling in VR and mobile. The idea is here we can feature priority launches and any content updates that are coming to our platform. Definitely stay tuned for more news about how you can get featured for placement in these. We've also focused on optimizing the UI for our product detail pages on both VR and mobile. The goal here is to improve the information architecture so users can have all the information they need to make a decision at their fingertips. So rather than having to endlessly scroll on the PDP to see user reviews and get different information, right when they come above the fold, we've put all the information, as you can see, right up front so they can make a quick decision. Another area we're investing in is to drive deeper engagement via our editorial approach. We're focused on telling deeper stories by featuring apps, a single app or a collection of apps. Our goal is to increase the amount of context we give a user about a particular title or group of titles. You're going to see more curated collections on the store moving forward. And we're really excited about this so we can tell deeper stories about the breadth and depth of our content catalog to users. As some of you guys may know and may have tried, we've also launched builder profiles. These builder profiles provide a way for you and your team to build community, engage with users who follow you, and increase that discoverability of your content. You should leverage your builder profile to highlight your apps, developer posts, events, and other content. We now also include sections to feature add-on content and content updates. So it's another way to make sure that the freshest and most up-to-date information is easily accessible via your profile. Speaking of developer posts that appear on builder profiles, I just want to highlight the value of this feature. It's here to help you further engage and grow your community. Developer posts are essentially a long-form post for you to share important updates, promotions, or new content releases. These posts show up across VR, mobile, and web. And in VR, actually now, we have a new feature to allow you to have two-way communication with users, so you can actually have a chat with them and converse with them about the latest updates that you're offering. You can actually also see analytics for your developer posts, so you can track reach, clicks, and conversion. Some of you guys may have also tried before our feature called Try Before You Buy. It lets users trial your app for a fixed period of time. But that's changing now with a new feature we've launched. We're introducing the ability to enable trials that allow you to end the trial not just based on a time duration, but rather when a user unlocks a specific achievement. This gives you the power to choose the best moment to upsell your user. We really felt you guys know best, and we want to make sure that you're empowered to decide how to offer these trials and convert users. Talk to us at the end of the session if you're interested in signing up. We have a beta program running right now for this, and so if that's at all of interest to you, come find one of us. Now, to the second area of focus that we have about broadening the number of places that your app can be promoted. We focused on search null state and really overhauling this experience. We now have the ability to elevate trending apps and suggested search terms. We've also included now in search null state a set of programmed shelves that appear, and this is really to feature more editorial curated content and help drive users into content they may not yet have explored. I also want to introduce the Deals Pill. This highlights apps that are on sale whenever offers are rolled out. This means you don't need to wait for one of our sales that are platform-wide to start experimenting with price changes. Anytime you start an offer, you will automatically show up in this view of the deals pill. And so it just gives you a chance to get further discovery, especially when you're making and testing price changes. For the third focus area we laid out, we've been working on improving relevance. In August, we rolled out a taxonomy update. This is to improve relevance of content matching across search terms. And you'll see that it also changes the app tags that appear below your title. We believe this is an important first step to explaining to users what to expect from your content. It primes them to have more thorough consideration whether the content is relevant for them. You will also start to notice your app showing up against more relevant search terms as a result of highlighting and improving your taxonomy tags. While we're talking about search, I also just want to take a quick moment to shout out to an improvement we made to reduce the time for your app to appear in our search index. After the recent changes we made, your app will appear nearly instantaneously after it's approved. Before, it used to take a couple of days, but we really wanted to make sure that as soon as you hit the platform, you are discoverable in search as well. Speaking of taxonomy, we're experimenting with categories at the top of store. We want to give users a way to pre-sort our library of content to find the content that they're looking for. Categories also appear in search null state. Our next big challenge with improving relevance is going to be about more dynamically personalizing these automated and manual programming methods that appear across our surfaces, and we're going to be investing in that heavily in 2026. So stay tuned in the coming months for more information on the changes there. I know we covered a lot today in a short period of time. I'm hoping this explains more and peels back the curtains on how you can succeed on our platform, given the knowledge of how discovery works. We hope we've given you more visibility into that. I'm going to spend the last few minutes answering any questions and hearing any feedback. If we run out of time, I'm happy to hang out in the back. But before I jump into questions, I also want to flag at 3:40, we have a great session on live ops. Definitely stay in this room to check that out or take a break and come back. And we have a QR code. If you all can take a minute to scan that and provide us feedback on the session and or any sessions that you attended today, that will be very helpful. So with that, thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. And I'm here to answer any questions. Yeah.
Does not seem on. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yes.
Hi. I was curious if you have any advice for the months leading up to a launch and how important is a coming soon page and what assets are on the page when it's in that state. Because for context, I started posting some early stuff on social media. It kind of went viral, and I want to make sure I don't have a page yet. I want to find the best way to direct that to eventual sales.
Yes, that's a great call out. Definitely recommend leveraging coming soon pages in that case. If you're not quite ready with the build to have early access, establish a coming soon page. And then as you're building that hype on social media, again, you can help redirect it. And on the coming soon page, people can flag interest so that when you do have updates and other things, they know to come back.
Hi.
Yes.
You mentioned frequent updates to things like profiles and meta tags. When you make a change like that, does that somehow trigger like, oh, now maybe it'll refresh us on the search results? Does that make any sense?
I think I understand what you're saying. Is there like a
one-to-one
refresh logic?
Yeah.
When you make a change? It depends on the specifics of the change, but for example, if you make a taxonomy change and you add a new tag, then you will start to appear in relevant search results for that tag or that category, and then that will funnel back into our signals and our data for how we rank and distribute content in the store. And so we'll feedback. It's not officially like a hard refresh. We don't reset,
Sure.
but it will be, given the change in behavior, that will feed back into our system.
Okay. Also, you mentioned the beta program for the new trial. We haven't released yet, but we're going to soon. Should I be talking to you about having access to that, or is that for apps that are already on the store?
It is for apps that are already in the store, but if it's of interest, like feel free to flag for us and we're happy to explore so that when you are ready for that, we can keep you in mind.
Thanks.
Hi, Nancy.
Yeah.
Thanks for the talk. I got two questions. First is also about the trial. It's not in the submission page, right? Because we didn't really find this.
It's in beta right now, so if you're interested in this, either find me or there's a few meta folks across the room. I think Thomas also might be, yeah, he's back there. Let us know if you're interested in participating in the beta, and then we can get you all set up with that functionality.
Oh, cool. And my second question is about the, you mentioned that besides the automatic algorithm ranking, you also do like hand-selected apps.
Yes.
And we're especially interested in, you mentioned novelty is one of your the principle to choose. And is there any way to pitch our game, because we believe it is really novel in terms of gameplay, but we are not really sure how to get to meta staff
Yeah.
to explain our game. And is there any way to pitch?
We don't officially have anything like that right now where you can like submit your app for consideration. It's something that we've talked about. I'm happy to chat more after this to help us learn about this. Right now, we do look at a variety of signals and review content on our own, but we have been thinking about how we can get and offer ways to like essentially pitch or submit your app for consideration.
I see. Thank you.
Hey, Wes Morton, run a marketing agency. What are you mentioned a couple drivers about discoverability. Can you talk to what you foresee the biggest drivers for, on app store optimization, SEO, in your mind, whether it's the curated stuff or more the algorithmic things for discoverability?
Do you mean in like our app store? Or are you talking about like on a Google?
Your specific app store, yeah.
Yeah, I think for search specifically or just any placement.
Discoverability, like what do you think is the most effective right now? Yeah.
I think it really comes back to content that is engaging users. So if you are like, again, going back to that first point on building that stickiness and retention, I think that's the key thing, because that ultimately feeds back to the users coming back for your content or other content. And then that feeds into the whole loop and helps kind of grow the overall market. So that's really the key that we're looking at, is what's driving users to engage more deeply. And that can be in terms of how they're spending their time or their dollars, but really how thinking about it, what's keeping them.
So playtime engagement on the actual application that's in your ecosystem.
Yes.
Got it.
We look at that, and that's a key factor.
Like it's question and maybe following the suggestion about the trial as well. Like, so is there any reason why you like all the trial thing, like limited to 30 minutes? Because I understand like most of people in Meta Quest decide to drop the game or play more in 30 minutes. But like in VR gaming industry, many people shout, like when it comes to premium game, like shouting about play times. So like when developer want to make a longer play times, like it's the game phase itself is really slow down. So I would love to have more options, like we can trial the 2 hours or more than that. For example, the other platforms like PlayStation or Steam is a bit different, but the PlayStation, they offer you like it's a freely. They ask, we developer can ask them, we want to do 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, and they just set up and things. But since you have better system that like you by the dashboard, we can set up the time. So like why not like we can set up by ourselves? We developer know what's better for our content.
Totally.
So please give an option for that, because we didn't have that. Our game made demo version. Like the free-to-play demo version, separate the app. So it was a hassle.
I definitely hear you. And I think we definitely know that you guys know the game best. And so it's helpful to hear that you guys want more kind of different durations to offer for the time-based one. But I do want to highlight the achievement-based try before you buy that is in beta right now, because that will give you the opportunity, like for say you do think users need to hit 2 hours, or not specifically time-based, but like maybe there's a mark that's like relatively 2 hours in. You can have that moment be the point at which a trial ends. So you can leverage that to have more custom essentially duration or customization of what that trial experience looks like for a user.
Yes, I understand the system you like. I think it could be amazing for
If we
some
have
certain
longer.
amount for some content, but
Yeah.
you have to know the developer now then have to play a plan
Yeah.
to design the game that's
Around that.
suitable for your system.
Yeah.
That will possibly ruin the game contents, the design itself.
Yeah.
So like you making new things, it could be better and can make more data and make more retention. It doesn't always work that way. So please
Yeah.
let us give an option.
For longer durations
And also like another suggestion, you have like a good Horizon Plus system. So like if Horizon system, like Horizon Plus thing, I think it's
Meta Horizon
subscription.
Plus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a subscription thing. Like a subscription, who have subscriptions, the users can
Yeah.
have more trial things. So they have more benefit, but also we can use those things. Like you are offering 5% more promo things, right? With
Yeah.
subscription users. So like the thing, like we can use more trial. It's not VR specific thing. Like on Steam, it's already there a thing. Gaming industry a thing, trial thing. So I think you should look up there more detail, not just
Yeah.
looking at numbers.
I definitely hear the feedback to enable like more customization, I think, on how you offer trials. And I can take that back to the team and we can look into that and see how we can prioritize it. Thank you. Appreciate the feedback. Yes.
Yeah, hello. I have two questions about the MetaQuest Plus. The one is, do you satisfy the performance of the MetaQuest Plus? And the second one, the future plan of this.
Sorry, the performance of MetaQuest Plus, like the subscription offering?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have found that it's an effective lever to help drive further engagement and expose users to more content so that they like engage in a deeper variety of content and come back more. And we have an offering to essentially like nominate your app for Meta Horizon Plus. So you can go to our developer resources and apply essentially. And that enables you to be considered for it. And we generally find that, again, it depends a little bit on the nuances of the app. So we're happy to chat about that. But generally, it is a way to help get broader exposure and grow the business.
Okay, thank you.
I know we are out of time. I know you have another
If we're out of
question.
time, that's good.
I can cut
I'll ask
out.
you.
I'm happy to hop off and find you. But thank you all. Really appreciate it. And I'll hang out in the back if there's any questions.